this rain, this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful rain, this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful rain, this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day, this glorious, this glorious, this glorious, this glorious day. This glorious, this glorious, this glorious day, this space. Thank you for this space, Spirit, thank you for this space. Thank you for this space, Spirit, thank you for this healing, this healing, this healing, healing space. This healing, this healing, this healing space, this love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. This powerful, this powerful, this powerful love. This powerful, this powerful, this powerful love. Back to rain. Thank you for this rain, Spirit, thank you for this rain. Thank you for this rain, Spirit, thank you for this rain. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful rain. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful rain. This day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This glorious, this glorious, this glorious, this glorious day. This glorious, this glorious, this glorious day. Time on the day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This glorious, this glorious, this glorious day. This glorious, this glorious, this glorious day. Welcome.
I'm so happy you are here. I'm so grateful you are here. And I know that this is, we are in that time of year when spiritual centers of all denominations are beholden to the central spiritual tradition in our great country. And I want to read a quote from that because we're all in it and every minister feels at this time of year, but today especially. This is from Thomas Merton, written in 1968. Football is one of the really valid and deep American rituals. It has a religious seriousness which American religion can never achieve. So I am so happy to be in a room full of heretics. And I'm especially happy for a couple of things. But first, I want to introduce, you have heard us speak about, but here she is in living person, is our virtual she's not virtual, she's really a live person, but the practitioner of our virtual community, which is Sherry Davis. And one person who is not watching football on television, but is watching us in Oregon, is her husband, Howard. So good morning, brother. Good to see you, Howard. So happy to have him here and happy to have you guys all here. A couple of announcements before we get going. One is that starting this Tuesday, Sherry will be teaching a class on Zoom on the spiritual principles of our teaching. And so I'll let her explain that.
Yes, so change your thinking, change your life. So we're in a new year and it's a good time to reevaluate our life, set new intentions, and we're going to be looking at, of course, all of our spiritual practices, including treatment and affirmations and all of those kinds of things, but also looking at how we are in our life with relationships, with health and wholeness, and with money. So there's It's a 6-week class, so we'll be delving into those topics as well. So I invite you to join us, and it'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
Fun.
So Sherry is being very humble. She is a master teacher. And this is a great, oh my goodness gracious, look who's walking in the door. Hey guys, good to see ya. Welcome back from Minnesota. Good to see ya. Yeah. So Sherry is a master teacher, and this is a fabulous class, and it's kind of, if you're interested in going deeper into our teachings, it's a great introduction into that. So I strongly recommend, and she'll be available after service to answer any kind of questions that you may have, but that's going on. Another announcement is on Wednesdays at 4:30, we have it here, it'll start February 5th, is Kundalini Yoga taught by Magdalena, and that is here at the centers, and it's a donation-based experience. If you've ever done Kundalini Yoga, it's a very cool thing. It's not really a physical one. It centers more on pranayama and breath, and it's a very cool experience. So do check that out. The gift shop, there's some really cool things in there. However, I have something else to say about that. Is that our two stalwart women in there, which is Noreen and Stacy. That's Stacy. Sherry, I know it's Sherry. I'm a little wiggy today. They would like to have some company, and what that means is they would love to have some volunteers to help work in the gift shop, just so they can kind of cruise around and do some things. So if you were called to kind of experience the gift shop, maybe spending a Sunday or two a month in there, go see them, because it's kind of where the party is, quite frankly. So that's going on as well. Do we have any other announcements? Prayer ministry, of course. There are plenty of ways to. I have not forgotten you, Jim. I see you out of the peripheral of my eye here, but I'm reading this one. So we have prayer ministry, and there's lots of ways to pray. The practitioners meet weekly, and we pray for any and all of your intentions. You can fill out a prayer request for that. You can also see any one of the practitioners that are here today. That's Liz, that's Andrea, that's Paul, that's Sherry. Am I missing anybody? Nope. Those are the practitioners. You could ask one of them for prayer. They'd be happy to do it. Also, Sherry, about 10 minutes after service in the Emerson room, will be leading a prayer circle. So if your heart has been touched in any way, please do not leave without the benefit of prayer. It is what we do. It's part of our community. And Jim Jones offers his class on, maybe you should explain what it is. Speaking of heretics, speaking of heretics.
Yeah, so every Sunday morning from 9 to 10, we have a class on the Tao Te Ching and looking at it from a philosophical perspective and how it can apply to our modern life.
So something that we've been doing, which is a lot of fun, is we kind of do the question of the day or where it goes. And as probably all of you have been thinking this week of Gregory of Nyssa, we have a quote from him to dive in. So here it is, what St. Gregory says, and he was a 4th century Cappadocian mystic and father. What he says is this, 4th century, by the way. He says, ideas create idols. Only wonder leads to knowing. Ideas create idols. Only wonder leads to knowing. So we're going to kind of play that. I sent that out to these guys this morning so that they could do it a little bit here. So where has wonder led to knowing, or where have you found yourself with an idea that has led to the altar of an idol? Who wants to go first? Jim? Great.
I really like that quote. It opens up a lot of doors. And I just say, I see it almost more as a continuum rather than a either or, in that we have to have some kind of idea about our life to do anything. But where the problem can come in is when we take that a little bit too seriously or think that it's more than it should be, because then we will look at our world and only see things that conform to our idea of the world. Or if we really take it further in our confidence, it becomes, like he says, an idol. And at that point, we attempt to shape reality to fit our ideal, which is very problematic. But then with wonder, we're open to discovery of new ideas. And here I see, that openness allows us then to shape our view of the world, our idea, by reality, as opposed to our idol shaping reality to our view of the ideal.
Now say all that in the first person. In the first person, instead of the third person.
Next time or now?
So when I am overconfident in an idea that it becomes an idol, I am tempted to shape the world to fit my ideas. But if I am open to wonder, then I am working to shape my idea about the world to reality.
Powerful. Classic, very good. For me, I was raised with ideas that were fed to me that were meant to make me feel awe and make me feel gratitude. And it wasn't until I got the curiosity and released those ideas that I began to know awe and I began to know gratitude through releasing those ideas. And on the second part of that, on the artistry level, I used to want to be the next Paul Simon, the idea of being the next Bob Dylan. But it wasn't until I had the wonder for life and lived experience that I knew how to make art that was meaningful, which is all that Bob Dylan ever did, all that Paul Simon ever did. You can't try and be that idea. You've got to wonder about life, and then you can express yourself. And so that's how it applies to my life.
How about you, Sherry?
Wow. I'll take what they're having. You know that movie? Yeah. So this really is food for thought for me. Learning, I think it's learning to take those ideas and go to wonder, go to curiosity, before I get stuck in my idea, my egoic idea. So, I think they go hand in hand. I'd like to skip the idle part, but I'm sure I don't a lot of times. And there we go, we learn, right? And we shift and we change. So I love that wonder.
For myself, what I realize is sometimes ideas become opinions. And then I become, very defensive of those opinions as if they are truth that has been bestowed upon me from above or below or wherever the case may be. And wonder is, as part of my creative process, there's this mantra that I use all the time. It's Servicew ambulante, which is, in walking there is truth. And I think of some of the great intellects that I really respect, like Thoreau and Nietzsche. They would walk for hours a day. So sometimes the best thing to do for me is to get out of my head. And what I would also say is it is solved by walking, Servicew ambulante. It is also solved by surfing or working out or walking the dogs or any of those kinds of things where it leads me to a place of amazement and wonder. I will tell you that, in my opinion, some of my best talks have come from the hot tub or the shower or out walking the dogs. So, that's where the inspiration is. Like Jim said, reason and knowing and ideas are really important because they create the space and the symbols within our mind to let the imagination off leash. So that's kind of my thoughts. So, to you guys, any thoughts on that? Ideas create idols, only wonder leads to knowledge. Any ideas on that one?
Well, really echoing what hi, I'm Liz. Echoing what everyone has said already. I think for me, or I feel for me, that when I'm attached to my idea, they become law for me, and that's where judgment comes in. I think about what you've said, Reverend Guy, that I want to be curious, not judgmental. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of the spirit of this. awe, to be in awe and wonder, and to be childlike in our way of seeing the world opens up for me so much. The converse of that is when I'm attached to my ideas and they become gospel to me, that I get in trouble. So it's very good probe. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yep, got one. All right, Jay.
This is probably a little off, but it was all I could kind of come up with. Earlier this week, I was kind of beating myself up because I realized that I have about 5 or 6 things that I believe that I need to keep on point, whether it's my work or my scheduling journal or it's my praying in the morning. I noticed that if I stopped doing one thing, I was doing really good at another thing. And if I I started doing really good at another thing, I stopped doing a couple other things. And I realized that if I could just somehow maintain a balance through all of it, whether I'm lagging at work or whether I'm lagging on my journal or whether I'm lagging in the morning, as long as I'm moving forward and I'm progressing, in that sense, I'm doing okay. But it's really hard for me because I start putting all these rules in front of me that I need to follow. And then once I try to accomplish everything on my list, I accomplish nothing. But if I accomplish a few things on my list, there comes the wonder and the awe for me anyway. Thank you.
Right on. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yep, there's a hand back there. All right, it's Matt.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm just thinking about the way I can kind of define meaning in my life, or the way I can define success in my life, and these ideas that we can kind of latch on to and become kind of yardsticks that we measure ourselves against. And I like to try to get back to sort of that point of wonder, to really consider what's important to me, and how does these things that I'm doing, or these things that I'm plotting to do or whatever, how does that really reflect my meaning and my significance and sort of what makes a meaningful life for me. So.
Right on. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone else? Anyone else? Paul?
I'd like to chime in. I like to think my ideas as different parts of myself that are seeking attention, and so I become curious about what these ideas are and where are they leading me, and follow them to see if they can lead me to a greater expression of my higher authentic self.
Beautiful.
So, and then, to not like trust or follow these ideas, because they could be false things that are trying to get my attention, that could in some way be resembling some of the like experiences of my past that are fearful or that need more love, and so how that can lead me to a greater expression of who I am.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
It's a deep question, this one.
I know it's a deep question. It just kind of feels like there's one more in the room.
Oh,
It is.
Yeah,
Lisa?
you can feel it.
Right. Okay. Mike,
I was struck really hard to stand up.
and then you did.
Okay, so for me lately, I've just been open to just everything. I don't know what it is, but I'm just really open to everything, and including like just spirit all around. And yesterday I was at NAMM. I got to go to NAMM, and I got to volunteer for She Rocks. It was a bunch of awards that were given to women in music, which was actually very breaking of the idolatry of man in that particular industry. And I just was, it was amazing to me how women are now breaking through these stereotypes, that these idolatries of men playing guitar. And there's this one woman last night, Samantha Fish, she was just rocking it. I mean, rocking it like you couldn't believe. And I just felt so open to the fact that, it's not just a man's world anymore. It's okay for us to to break down that wall, to break down the idolatry of man in that particular area. And then, I don't know, I've just been really called to spirit lately. I gave 2 readings. I carry my cards, right, that are my business cards, and they're tarot cards, right? I think some of you guys have had them before, and they're always just so right on. And one guy had fled from Florida. He got the 8 of Cups, leaving all that his mom had just died, and only 2 people. The other guy was also from Florida. He was a young black man who came over and just sat down beside me for no good reason at all. Was about to go on the main stage, just to play, and the cards just flew out. And he got a 2 of Cups, which, if anybody knows, that's like the love card. And then they flew out, and that's the only one I saw. And he's like, "Oh no, look, there are 3 other ones there." It was as if my mother was just like throwing these cards out. And 2 of them, one of them was I'm sorry to keep going on, but it was kind of powerful. One of them was the 4 of Swords, which is the resting card, right? And right next to it was the card of mourning. You don't ever want to get those 2 together. I mean, not ever, but it really does represent death. And then his the other one he got was that he wasn't giving enough love to his wife. So that's what I say to him. I'm like, "So have you had a loss recently?" And he says, "Well, yeah, my wife just had a miscarriage two weeks ago." And then that he wasn't being sympathetic. He wasn't, because when a woman carries a baby in your body, you're connected to that. I know it from experience, and he just couldn't relate. And so the cards were just screaming at him, "Oh, go home and love your wife, because you guys have the 2 of Cups. You're the most perfect." So again, I'm just super open. I'm getting numbers all the time: 929, 1111, 333. So just stay open, my friends. That's all I'm saying. It's all. None of it's real. None of it's set in stone. So I really feel like we can all take what we want from it. I don't know. So there you go. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. And second of all, that was palpable, so I knew that was in the room. All right. With that, anyone else? Anyone else? I think then we will, Sherry, if you will then lead us home to service.
Borrow this one, 'cause
Okay, you can have that
they
one.
took mine away.
We only need one.
It was red. All right. So I just invite you to, at this time, take a deep breath, perhaps close your eyes as we go within. And just breathing into that infinite, invisible presence that is everywhere. Everywhere on this planet, in each and every one of you. And knowing that you connect with that even more deeply, each and every breath. And so we just know that today's time, sermon, music is blessed, that each one of us receives in our heart, in our mind, in our soul, what we are desiring or what we are needing in this moment. And allowing that to be so. Being okay with needing to hear something, needing to feel something. That is okay. That is part of who we are. And so as we come together, we are just grateful for this place, for this space, for these people, for this love and this grace that flows in this sanctuary, always. And so it is. And the reading. Okay. So our reading today for our musing as we do our 3-minute meditation is this. It's from Michael Josephson, and it is, "Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Choose to live a life that matters." So I just invite you to think about your life that matters as we go into the silence. And just gently bringing your awareness back to this room, to this place, and this time.
I'll play a song that I wrote about. It relates to living a life that matters for me, and because sometimes living a life that matters can feel tiring and exhausting and like it's a long road. But living a life that matters means keep on going, keep on trucking anyway. On and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go. When I was younger, oh cowabunga, I wonder what the world may share. As I got growing, hungry for knowing, I heard a whisper in the air. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. On and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go. I met this lady, I asked her maybe, do dreams come true, then where? I lost my youth, she said the truth, don't always care to be fair. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. Go get it now. On and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go, on and on we go. I heard a preacher who came to teach us just how easily we scare. Now he's long gone, still we march on, and getting closer, I swear. I held a dreamer who stopped their dreaming, their dreams beyond compare. Said I could have them, their dreams worth having, it's just their way over there. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. It's quite a ways over there, sweet kid. It's quite a ways over there. Go get it now. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jim Jones. Please welcome our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams.
There we go. So I want to start this talk because obviously our theme is living a life that matters and where that goes. And I want to talk today about the creative process of where that goes. And I want to do something that I rarely do, if ever, and that's share from my own personal journal, my own personal writings. And I was writing this earlier this week. Every Sunday morning, I go through the same angst. Will this be the day no one shows up? Of course, it never happens, although it seems that the majority of the congregation appear to take the late bus. But they come. Not like I'm speaking to anybody. But they come, or I guess you come. I do my thing, and all is well. I can't count the times that someone says to me that they're only coming because of me and my message. There's indeed evidence of this by the number of people who play hooky when I'm away. You would think that this would be flattering. It's not. It's actually quite stressful. So, and therein lies the process itself, right, of what it means to kind of dive into where we go. And part of that, I think, is learning to be comfortable with the uncertainty of which the creative process is. And we all have our own one. I was thinking earlier about, when I was in high school and college, even still, it's never really changed. It was always the deadline that inspired me, right? How many people were writing papers, the night before they were due when they were in college, right? And there seems to be something about that. Somehow or another, the stress of something creates this. And there's actually a lot of science that can kind of back that up. One of the things that we understand is that when we are in a place of uncertainty, our mind is actually creating new neural pathways of possibility. So it's actually a pretty healthy thing to be in that. Wendell Berry says this. He says, don't do that to me, guy. Oh, no. Oh, there it is. I don't want that. Well, I'm going to live with it until I can figure out how to do it differently. So Wendell Berry says this. He says, "It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we have begun the real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings." The impeded string is the one that sings. So I think about that a lot. Where is that creative process, and how do we generate it? Because we've each kind of got our own. And I remember that there used to be a television show called Mad Men, and I loved Mad Men until, of course, it became politically incorrect. But I still love it. But there's a character in there. His name is Don Draper. He's sort of the main character. And it's about Mad Men was about an advertising agency and how they did it. It was all creative. And, the writers were quite brilliant. And I think one of the reasons I resonated with the show so much. Anybody watch Mad Men? I loved that show. And part of it is remember the daughter, Don Draper's daughter? So if I was to do the math of when the show was taking place in real time, I would have been the same age as her. So it was kind of like watching the world that I lived in on television, the cultural nuances, the music, the dress, all the things that were kind of going on. So it was sort of fun to watch that. But I remember one time, one of the characters, her name was Peggy, and I've been trying to think all week, what was Peggy's last name? Not that it matters. Do you know? Nope. But Peggy was one of Don Draper's assistants. And one day she asked him, "What is your creative process? How do you," because he was this genius, right? "How do you create what you create?" And he said, "First I yell at somebody, then I take a drink, and then I take a nap." I was like, well, that's not my creative process. My creative process often involves walking or water. And what is your creative process? What is it that you do as an artist, as whatever it is in the livelihood that you do? And does it create stress? And maybe that's not a bad thing. The impeded mind is the one that is most creative. And I think more and more and more, it is important for us to get in touch with our own creative process, because it's going to be really important for all of us, because we're entering into a stage collectively evolutionary that appears very stressful. There's a lot of tumult. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things that are kind of going on. And oh, by the way, as a caveat, let me just offer this to you. This is something that I am writing and is one of my mantras as I am navigating through this. Breaking news is not deep truth. Breaking news is not deep truth. It is designed to hook you and to pull you in one way or the other. And so one of the things to manage ourselves into this is put a short leash on your clicks. Because when you click, the wisdom of the WeberNet is it has an algorithm that figures out what's triggering this person and let me give them more so that I can harvest information of them. But I don't want to go there, even though I could go on and on about that all day. But what I want to say is what helps us, what navigates us, and I think it is this. It is too easy to get distracted by what's going to happen. And if we live in a world in which what we're questioning is what's going to happen, I think it's the wrong question. Rather than asking that, we should be asking, what is my assignment? Instead of what's going to happen, what is my assignment? What am I here for? What is mine to do here? And one of the things that I would suggest just to consider that is this, is that part of what our assignment is to remain faithful to what matters. To remain faithful to what matters to you and to what matters collectively and to where we go. Another part of that is this, is that we cannot change or heal anything that we are not willing to take responsibility for. The essence of healing, the essence of change comes from disruption and our comfort or our response to that. And so, you know, in our teaching, which used to be called the science of mind or religious science, we don't use those terms anymore, but mental science possibly, or new thought is a good way to say it, is that we can't heal anything unless we take responsibility for it. We can't change anything unless we take responsibility for it. And the one thing that we really can take responsibility for, and I'm really aware of this because when it's coming to any of those global issues, nobody's calling me or asking my opinion on these things. So what is it that matters to me? What is my assignment? What am I to remain faithful to? And of course it is to my own self, loyalty to myself, my true self. It's also loyalty to my family, and it's loyalty to my spiritual family. This, our community, the Hilltop Spiritual Center. That's what matters to me, and this is what I am invited to remain faithful to. And like any healthy organism, it is time for us to reflect periodically. We do that to ourselves. Our own creative process, is this working or not? Is it carrying me away? We do that collectively with our families, but I think also it's healthy for us as a spiritual community to take notice of it, to pay attention, and to review it periodically. And I say that because something that's going to be unfolding more and more over the next couple of months is that a group of leaders in our community gave up their weekend, or invested their weekend. They didn't really give anything up, but because they all chose to be there, no one was, well, everybody was kind of needled, encouraged, threatened, loved, lured, inspired. That's the word, inspired. Everyone was sort of inspired to be there. There were 15 of us, and we went through this really interesting process. It's called the co-creation process. And like I said, you'll hear a lot about what that is. And as a community, what we began to look at, what matters for us as a spiritual community, is spiritual abundance. Now, it's really interesting that this came up because we were going along in this process, and it was Friday evening and all day Saturday, and we were going around that it was love, you know, that's our purpose, and that's what we're here to do this time around and this season, and we were all feeling good about it until somebody beautifully said, no, let's look at this. And we realized how uncomfortable we felt about it. And it was in that uncomfortableness, that disruption, that we realized this is where we're supposed to be called. And I was thinking, there's a story I shared with a couple people. There's a story of when Freud and Jung came to the Americas for the first time. They were sort of greeted at the harbor, and people were waving and cheering and all this other kind of stuff. And Freud turns to Jung and says, "They don't realize we're bringing the plague." Meaning spiritual abundance. Yeah, doesn't that sound great? But let me tell you, we're going to be in for something when this. And let me just kind of, as a working definition, give you this. And this comes from a website called Marvelous Living or Living Marvelously or whatever. One of the members sent this to me or read it out there as a definition of what we're working on. He said this, or she said, whoever wrote it said this. Spiritual abundance is the deep sense of fulfillment, peace, and contentment that comes from aligning with your higher purpose and trusting in the universe. It is not just about material wealth, but about feeling rich in love, connection, and inner joy. Spiritual abundance is the belief that you have everything that you need within and around you, leading to a mindset of gratitude, generosity, and trust in life's flow. It is the opposite of scarcity thinking, where lack and fear dominate instead. It embraces the idea that life is abundant in ways that truly matter. Now, we can all get on board with that, right? I mean, that sounds like exactly something that we as a community would love to take on and pursue, and what that looks like is going to be kind of an interesting ride. And so, when we think about how are we going to arrive to that, I think in terms of something that Thomas Merton wrote. Excuse me. He says, spiritual abundance comes from a connection to God and a recognition of the true self. Spiritual connection comes from a recognition of God and a connection to the true self. So, two things I want to say. First is that spiritual abundance, even before the time that I got here, I've been here 20 years, and even before the time I got here, spiritual abundance has been resisted in our community at a deep soul level. There has been a consciousness of lack that has been deep there. And in the first co-creation that we did back in 2008, this idea was deeply resisted. And so it's been wanting a voice for over 20 years in the soul of our community and where it goes. So that's the first thing that I want to say. And the second thing that I want to say about that is, this how of how we go to that is a connection to God and a recognition of our true self. So let me say a word about God. Because, something that I said this a couple weeks ago, something that Martin Buber says, is he says, God is to be addressed, not expressed. Meaning, I have no business as Reverend Dr. Guy, ordained minister, to tell you anything about your experience of God. It is deeply personal to you. I can't tell you what it is or what you should do about it or who he is or isn't, or she or whatever, because chances are the God that you don't believe in doesn't even exist, in my opinion. And I'm not going to try to convince you of something else differently. And God is a word. It is a word. It is a name. It is a name like Bill, Steve, Harry, or oneness, or unity, or, St. John in the Gospel says it is love. So my invitation is not to get hung up on a word, what it could trigger or not trigger. We as a community embrace this idea of spiritual diversity. It's as important as biodiversity. There's not, one of the things that I love about New Thought, what we say kind of tritely, is we invite you to think, but not how to think. Because that's really yours. And your experience with life, oneness, the universe, whatever you want to call it, however you experience, is deeply personal, deeply transformative to you And we respect and embrace and invite that. And the other thing that I want to say about that is something that I read a while ago from David Foster Wallace, who says this: there's no such thing as an atheist. And let me read a quote. He says this: in the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is actually no such thing as atheism. There is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. The only choice we get is to what to worship. And an outstanding reason for choosing some sort of God or spiritual type thing to worship is that pretty much everything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, you will never have enough. Never feel you have enough. It's the truth. Worship your own body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. And when time and age start showing, you will die 1,000,000 deaths before they finally plant you. Right? And so the invitation is this, is what do you value? What is worth your finitude? What is it that you worship or serve? Is another way of saying it. What connects you? Because that's the thing that you can personally choose. It's not laid on you, but you are invited to experience it, but to realize the way that our brain is wired and who we are as creatures is we engage in something. Because we're relationship oriented. But we should be very worthy of this, or very wary of this. This is why in the Hebrew myths and legends, the first injunction is no false gods. Why? Because as the story goes, the Hebrew people were a people that were in bondage who were trying to figure out what it means to live free. And so the first injunction is, what do you do that you give your energy to, and is it freeing or does it bond you? Is kind of where we want to go with this whole thing, right? Eric Fromm wrote a book, He Shall Be As Gods, brilliant book back in the 70s. And he talks about this, and he talks about the roots of idolatry. And he says, idolatry is this, is something that we take that we don't want to really own within ourselves, and we project it onto something else. And the bigger we make it, the smaller and more enslaved we become to it. So if it's money or things or physical beauty or this, that, and the other thing, does it free you or does it enslave you? And we are about the experience of freedom. That's the lure of the divine itself, is to lead us into the fullest expression of who we are. Because if we experience the divine, as I do, as love, then there can be no love if there is no freedom, right? If there's no freedom, it's not love, it's something else. But if there is love, there is freedom. And so to be a loving person is to be a person who engages in the participation of freedom and what that looks like. So when we choose what really matters, as part of what came to us in the co-creation process, as far as how we move towards this experience of spiritual abundance, is how to live by certain values, certain things that matter. And can we give our finitude to these things? And I want to offer 3 for your consideration. To live in a position of gratitude, to live in a position of generosity, and to live in a position of kindness. Do those sound like things that you could take on? Because the thing of it is what we understand about the experience of gratitude is the things that we are grateful for have a tendency to increase. Have you noticed this? that what we attend to, what we are grateful for, what we are open to, and allow ourselves that sense of expansiveness, these things grow and become more powerful in our lives. Generosity is the same thing, right? Because to live generously is to live expansively. It's to live openly. Now, there is ideas about these things, because to live generously or to live gratefully does not mean to live unconsciously. Because, Aristotle had the 4 cardinal virtues, and one of those is prudence. Temperance is another one of those. Fortitude and justice. I just named all 4. But those kinds of things are the things that support us in living generously and living living in a grateful position, as a thing. And then kindness. And I was thinking about kindness today on my drive over. And the person who I think was in a slow driving contest in front of me, and the story I was telling myself before I caught myself. Because, kindness is the opposite of opinion or story that we tell ourselves. Philo, the ancient Egyptian philosopher, says, "Be kind, for everyone is fighting a great battle." We don't know what's going on with someone else. We are just pissed off because it's in conflict with our opinion of how things are supposed to be. And maybe, maybe that idol of I'm right conflicts with an openness to be kind. Because what would it be like to live or to be in a community that we are creating together that bases how we interact with each other, that we interact with each other from a place of gratefulness, and trust me, I am grateful for every one of you. And what does it mean to live from a position of generosity? And I don't mean pull your checkbook out. I mean be generous with you. Can you and will you be willing to be generous with us by the expression of who you are? And how nice to be in a community that values kindness. My teacher was here this weekend, my mentor, Reverend Dr. Kathy Hearn, and one of the things that she used to say about spiritual communities is this: they are safe places where you get to grow up all over each other. And that's it, and we love each other into wholeness. And so, that's because if we can do that collectively and create a space for that, we're beginning to model something that can expand out. And something that Carl Sagan wrote, thank you, Lee, is this. He says, "We are capable of using our compassion and our intelligence, our technology and our wealth to make an abundant and meaningful life for every inhabitant on this planet, to enhance enormously our understanding of the universe, and to carry us to the stars." And to carry us to the stars. That's it. That's kind of what we want to practice. That's what we want to do. And so I'm going to offer each of you an assignment for the week. And I'm going to check in next week. Find one place where you can practice gratitude. Just one. And if that works, try 2. Try one place where you can practice generosity. Try 1, maybe 2. And practice kindness. And a fun place, pro tip, if you really want to engage in practicing kindness, get on the road and drive your car and watch what triggers you and the story you're telling yourself. Can you be kind to the stranger? There's a beautiful line in the Hebrew poetry that says this: to be kind, compassionate to the stranger, because you were once a stranger in a strange land. Every one of us has been a stranger. And what lured us in was an act of kindness. So let us live in spiritual abundance, and let us do it through gratitude, generosity, and kindness. Thank you.
Just wonderful. Thanks, Rev. So refreshing. That's better than coffee. All right, let's sing together.
We let love wash over us. We let it be. We let love wash over us. We let it be. We let life. We let life wash over us. We let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. We let light. We let light wash over us. We let it be. We let hope. We let hope wash over us. We let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. We let love wash over us. We let it be. You're so beautiful.
Thank you. Can I say one thing before you do your show?
Yeah, Walter.
Thank you. Thank you, Walter. So I just wanted to say one more thing. I don't know where I was going to fit it in. Maybe I didn't, but it came to me. Is one of the things that inspires me, part of my creative process, is music itself. You know, and I'm always paying attention to the soundtrack of my life. And you know, two songs were really inspiring me today. Driving over here, you know, is Grateful Dead "Ripple." Oh, I love that song. If you could learn to play that, I would love. I love that song. And then also from "Sympathy of the Devil," you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need, right? And that's that's the creative process. Yeah, and we are, one of the things that I am grateful for daily, if not hourly, is our music director, Lee, who, yes, our resident, our artist in residence. But Lee you have a new CD out.
Yeah, well, it's not a CD. It's not physical. It's all online.
No.
So it's technically an EP. It's 6 songs. So
It's 6 songs?
It's just fun, kind of, you know, dance along in the car kind of music. So it's on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, whatever you stream on.
And does it have a name?
Yeah, it's called Nostalgia.
Nostalgia by Lee Culture.
That's all we're doing is living in each other's nostalgia.
Living in so 4 things to do this week: gratitude, generosity, kindness, and Lee Culture's nostalgia. Fabulous. So thank you for that. Now, is this one, if that's one, that's whatever one, yeah.
Just checking in to see what I need to be doing.
We're going to shake them down.
Okay. So first, I just want to say that how much I really appreciate being here in person.
Yes.
And feeling that love and the gratitude and the connection with everyone here. So, thank you. And Walter. And Walter. So I just invite you in this moment as we go into our gratitude giving for this center, for each other, for the power of that infinite, invisible presence that we so connect to. We just go within our hearts and share and give love, money, kindness, generosity, and joy. And so from this place, I just invite you to give whatever it is that you have to give today. And if it is just holding your hand over the plate and giving love and giving joy, and so be it. And so it is.
People coming through, coming through, coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have to, but you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm singing you. Yeah, you. Thank you.
So again, thank you for everyone that was part of the service this morning and helping make it, whether that be the greeters, who was Matt. Who was greeting with you today, Matt? Yes, me and Bob. Just you and Bob and Walter. And Walter, yes, we are, yeah. So thank you guys for those, and for Mike and Steve in the sound booth there, making us sound good, and Gary, who is here every week, just being supportive at that level, and of course, Lee and Jim and our music, and Sherry. It was so fabulous to have you there. Andrea, who's running around doing everything that we don't see, Kurt and Deanna, who are in the kitchen. There are so many people, and so the invitation is, man, come play with us. It's just a lot more fun. And find a place, and one place that I'm just going to invite you to consider is maybe hanging out with the gift shop, because they're doing some fun stuff in there. It's a beautiful place, and it also frees them so that they don't always have to be in there, that they can kind of mingle and play and do the mantra meditation, whatever the case may be. So, you know, if you'd like, we'd love to have you join us in some place, one place or the other. And I want to thank all the people that serve. Let's give them all a hand. And let's see, anything else that needs to be said? I don't think so. But pay attention, man. Stuff's going to start rolling out. Something's going to roll out. There's a rumble, man. There's a cool thing that's going on in this place. Something powerful happened yesterday, and it's gonna ripple. It's gonna ripple. You know, it is. There's that. I can get all biblical, but I won't. I can't even get Tolkienian right now. I'll just leave it at that and say, let us pray away. A benediction is a good word, and that word is abundance. That flow of good at every angle, the abundance of love, the abundance of beauty, the abundance of vitality, all that is, the abundance of all of that expressing itself in this day. And so, my good word is wonder. May each of us today be filled with amazement, wonder, and surprise. May it connect us to that deep place of knowing our place in the universe and what matters most, and what we are willing to commit our finitude towards. And so, how good it is, and so we let it be, and so it is.
I just want to take a quick moment to thank Paul a few weeks ago when I was sick. I listened to him online, and it was so amazing. So give it up for Paul.
Yeah. Right on, Paul.
And then, speaking of gratitude, just grateful for the rain, and thinking of the firefighters and the first responders, and just how much they've done for us in the last few weeks up in LA, and just thinking, putting ourselves in the shoes of them, knowing that this rain was coming in, and just thinking of that gratitude. And so I'm going to sing this song about it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone on the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is a rainbow we've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Yeah. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone on the dark clouds that have me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Let's clap our hands here. It's bright, 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 sunshiny day, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. One more time. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Much love. Happy Sunday. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks, Jim Jones.